Who are you?
Hello.
Are you talking to me?
Are you there? Alice.
No, that's not my name.
Can you hear me, Alice?
He can't be talking to me.
Come on, wake up. Alice.
I keep telling you. I'm not Alice! I shouted out and woke up. I must have fallen asleep against a tree trunk. I looked to the side and found a mushroom growing. I was in the midst of a dense forest. Trees with branches growing every which way created a dark and somber atmosphere. There were signs everywhere indicating different directions that I was almost bound to get lost. If I recall, this was the place where I met that young man who called himself the Cheshire Cat.
Good morning, Alice.
A grinning Cheshire Cat, Kyle was staring right at me. I couldn't help but scowl when I saw him smiling, as if he hadn't a care despite my confusion. How did I get here?
You don't remember anything?
His questions seemed oddly laced with amusement, so I searched my memory as I framed my reply. I remember hearing a strange voice echo inside my head, right before losing consciousness. A moment ago I was at a tea party, and now I find myself back in the forest. By the time I gave him my answer, my eyes had closed unwittingly. What if I've lost my memory again? I couldn't remember anything about myself besides my name. I started to worry about the physical and emotional state I was in.
There's nothing to worry about, Alice.
Kyle's amethyst-colored eyes creased as he smiled softly. For some reason, the sparkle in his eyes seemed so mysterious. Kyle, do you even know what's bothering me? I released a wary sigh, but Kyle smiled and faltered. With a confident air, he whispered,
You had a sudden lapse in memory, and now you're afraid your memory is gone again. Am I right? You're afraid that you might be walking around aimlessly, without knowing nothing, as if sleepwalking.
His assessment was so spot on, I was momentarily dumbfounded. Kyle's smile widened when he saw I was speechless. His lips curved up like a crescent moon. His gentle smile affected an air of concern, but the mysterious sparkle never left his eyes. What a spiteful grin. There was no real reason. It was just the way I felt.
I repeat, you have nothing to worry about. At least, I don't think much time has elapsed since you lost consciousness during the tea party. My eyes haven't been glued to the clock, but I suspect no more than 5 minutes have passed. So all is well. You haven't lost your memory. Don't worry, my dear Alice.
I'm not yours.
In any case, you certainly remember all that transpired before you lost your consciousness.
Kyle wrapped up the conversation with a wry smile after my sudden outburst. I still have no recollection of anything prior to waking up in that strange cave. But it's not like I keep forgetting things, which is somewhat of a relief. I must somehow find a way to remember what happened before I woke up in that cave. The thought of trying to retrieve the memory of an infinite number of things. Imagining being in such a hopeless situation was daunting. But why was I sleeping in a place like this? Do you know?
Of course.
Kyle smiled. I had a bad feeling about it all.
At the very least, your feet didn't move on their own while you were unconscious.
Kyle winked in a teasing manner and provided a simple answer to my question.
I lured you here, using magic.
I glared at Kyle with narrowed eyes. Will you stop teasing me simply because I can't remember anything? I was perfectly serious, but all he did was laugh jovially, which was annoying. I find it hard to believe he lured me with magic. Regardless of my memory loss, I know there's no way that can possibly be. Now that I think of it, that thought gave me a twinge of doubt, and I found myself questioning Kyle. How did you know I had amnesia?
Huh? You're the one who mentioned it, right?
No, I didn't. Kyle tried to feign innocence, but my expression didn't falter as I stood my ground. The first time we met and every time since then, I mentioned no such thing. Yet, you seem to know all about my situation. Yes, his tone of voice had always grated on me. My house! I'm going home.
Your house, huh?
Kyle slowly repeated what I said, and his eyes narrowed in a meaningful manner.
Do you really have a place to call home, Alice?
I stared at Kyle intently, trying to uncover what he was hiding. He returned my stare with a satisfied smile.
I have to hand it to you, Alice. I have nothing against smart women.
Stop teasing me and answer the question, Kyle. When I intensified my glare and pressed him further, Kyle just shrugged his shoulders and smiled wryly.
You said you wanted to go home, didn't you? You asked me to lead the way. If you can't even remember your own home, it's the same as saying you've lost your memory.
You have a point. I reluctantly acknowledged his observation.
See, there's nothing strange about me knowing you have amnesia, is there?
He might be right, but warning bells were ringing inside me. Something is holding me back from simply accepting his words at face value. If that's the case... I turned my back to him and started walking off without a word.
Alice, where are you going?
I'm going someplace where I won't have to face you. I replied curtly to the question thrown at me from behind. If no one would show me the road home, I had no choice but to find it myself. Of course, I had no idea what I was doing, but I forged ahead without looking back. As I kept walking, I cleared the gloomy forest and came out to a hill. I was greeted by a beautiful sight, in stark contrast to the dense forest. When I looked up, the sky glowed with a mysterious light, which was a mix between blue and purple. For some reason, Kyle was still standing beside me. He kept his smile as he walked alongside me, studying my profile. Will you stop following me?
Why?
Just because. Besides, I don't trust you.
I am offended.
Kyle seemed unfazed by my brutal honesty. In fact, his eyes creased in amusement. What is with this guy? My repeated rebuffs seemed to have no effect, and I found myself growing irritated. It was no use. I stopped in my tracks, heaved a sigh, and glared at him. Then why do you insist on following me, Kyle?
I don't want to be parted from you.
He smiled brightly, either in amusement or happiness.
I've been waiting for you for so long.
I looked pointedly at Kyle and exhaled slowly. Waiting? By you... who do you mean? Kyle looked at me wonderingly as unconsciously I furrowed my brows.
By you? I mean you, of course.
Kyle pointed at me without hesitation, but the look I gave him was full of suspicion. That's not true, is it? You have been waiting for... Alice. Make no mistake. I am Amelie. I won't be your Alice. I made myself perfectly clear. A flicker of surprise flashed in Kyle's amethyst-colored eyes. But the wide-eyed look of surprise lasted only a brief moment. His lips soon curved into a smile, and he held a look of satisfaction. That's the same expression he had when he said he didn't dislike smart women. I don't have time to stand here and argue with you. I have to find my way home. Why don't you look for your Alice, Kyle? To be honest, I didn't understand him. Or rather, I didn't trust him. At first, I just thought he had mistaken me for someone else, but... no matter how many times I denied it, he seemed convinced that I was Alice. Does Kyle know something that I've forgotten? Does he know and he's simply not telling me? The more I thought about it, the more suspicious I became.
That's right, Alice.
He no doubt sensed my mistrust, but Kyle displayed not a hint of guilt. He looked straight at me, undaunted, and smiled guilelessly.
If you want to go home, I'll help you.
Huh?
Unfortunately, I don't know the way, but I'll be happy to stay with you and help you until you find it.
I glared reproachfully at Kyle while he stood there smiling as if he had come up with a brilliant idea. I think I'll pass. I don't need you to stay with me.
Are you sure about that?
Suddenly, Kyle's voice was low and mocking.
You've lost your memory, so... You don't know what is where in this Wonderland. You don't have a soul to rely on. And even if you were to get lucky and stumble upon your own house, you might not even recognize it as yours.
That's... I found myself at a loss for words. Kyle's words made me realize for the first time that this is Wonderland. I might be out of my mind to think that I could find my way home on my own. While his words and the tone were mocking, Kyle's smile remained gently as he continued.
I'll guide you through Wonderland. It is my duty as a Cheshire Cat. So, there's no reason for you to refuse. You can depend on me.
I hate to admit it, but Kyle is one step ahead of me. I sensed that as I regarded his unfaltering smile. Indeed, I needed a guide, and if I took him up on his offer, I had a greater chance of finding my way home. On the other hand, if I refused it, I would likely have a harder time. His suggestion was beneficial for me. The only reason I could think of to turn down his offer was... my instinct was telling me he was not trustworthy. All right, show me the way, Kyle.
Of course, Alice.
However, Kyle started to reach out his hand and embrace me in mid-sentence. I immediately put some distance between us and made a single request if he were to act as my guide. I'd like you to call me Amelie.
Huh?
When I voiced my request, I saw the first flicker of uncertainty cross his features. That single look of vulnerability gave me a small sense of relief. I'm not Alice. I'm Amelie. If you're not going to call me by my real name, I'll have to refuse your proposal. Kyle's mysterious eyes widened as if he wanted to say something, but his raised eyebrows eventually came down, and he nodded with a resigned smile.
All right. My Alice is you, Amelie.
As I keep reminding you, I'm not Alice, nor am I yours, Kyle. Kyle only chuckled while I released a pent-up sigh.
You really are stubborn. I wish you'd just trust me with your body and soul.
That's not going to happen. Obviously, I raised my voice in objection. Kyle smiled mockingly as he raised his index finger to my parted lips.
That's what I mean by stubborn. There's no need to be embarrassed, Amelie.
The sensation of his cold fingertip almost had me blushing uncontrollably. I was upset at myself for being so easily flustered. I quickly turned away from his unrelenting gaze. Though I felt I had made significant progress, I didn't think I could bear to continue being called by a stranger's name. If Kyle could call me Amelie, it would make it easier to get along with him. At least, that's what I thought. It has to be better than the current situation, probably. I tried to shake off the sense of dread that threatened to overcome me. After promising to guide me through Wonderland, the first place Kyle took me was... It was a lovely town which was filled with a sense of liveliness. The fact that there were so many people actually worked to my advantage. Someone who knew me before I lost my memory might happen to pass by. Then I could find out where I lived. That was what I thought.
What's wrong, Amelie?
I had to give Kyle credit. I chose to ignore the fact that he started to say Alice and focused on answering his question instead. Maybe it's because I've lost my memory, but something doesn't seem right.
What is it?
For example, are animals supposed to walk on two legs? Among the people walking through the town were people like Kyle, who had animal ears and tails. Others were normal people like me. Normal, that's right. Yes, this is normal. At least I think it is. And there were many animals walking on two legs. No one seemed to be bothered by the difference in species, and everyone appeared to speak the same language. I thought animals and humans spoke different languages. I crossed my arms and groaned at the sense of incongruity roaring inside of me. Seeing me deep in thought, Kyle smiled softly.
You can take all the time you need to remember, Amelie.
Could it be that my senses are off? I was reminded of the fact that I had amnesia, which left me dejected. I've really forgotten everything, haven't I? When I lowered my head in resignation... Oh!
Hey!
I thought I heard the high-strung voices of children when two nearly identical faces appeared before me. One was a girl who wore her pink-colored hair in matching pigtails. The other was a boy who wore his sky-blue hair in a short ponytail. Though there were noticeable differences, including their gender. They both shared the same turquoise-colored eyes, and their shared taste in clothing was obvious.
Hey, Kyle! She wouldn't happen to be...
No! There's no doubt about it! She's definitely...
She's Alice, isn't she?
Kyle smiled in response to their question, but he remained silent. I immediately understood the reason behind Kyle's response. If he were to answer yes to that question, it would mean he was calling me Alice. That's why he's not saying anything. Is this Kyle's way of keeping his promise to me? They either took Kyle's silence as tacit agreement, or were extremely presumptuous. The boy and girl jumped up and down in glee.
I can't believe it! Alice is finally here!
Hey, Alice! Let's shake hands first! Then, can we have your autograph? Oh, your autograph!
Wait a minute, both of you! I needed them to settle down first, or I wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise. I got them to quiet down before I asked my question. Who are you?
I'm Tweedledee. You can call me D, Alice.
I'm Tweedledum! Dee and I are twins! I'm the oldest!
I didn't doubt that they were twins. What worried me was their behavior. So, I'm Alice?
Of course you are!
They responded immediately with absolutely no hesitation.
I knew you had come, Alice, just by looking at you. I'm so happy to meet you.
I've wanted to meet you for so long! I wanted to know what you're like! I've really been looking forward to it!
Are these two just like Kyle? Their response worried me. Maybe I had indeed forgotten everything, and I really was Alice. Their screams of delight started to draw the attention of other townspeople, and soon there was a commotion.
Alice! It's Alice! Alice is with the Cheshire Cat!
Alice, you finally came!
While some people hadn't noticed until now, others had apparently been holding back. Now that the twins were carrying on, any reluctance seemed to have evaporated. I was surrounded by the townspeople in no time. Everyone welcomed me as Alice. If I truly believed I was Alice, I would have been overjoyed, but... Everyone, calm down! Stop pushing! Everyone crowded around me, jostling from every direction. I couldn't even see straight ahead. If something happened and we were toppled over like dominoes, there would be nothing to stop us. I called out in an effort to get them to calm down, but nobody seemed to hear me.
Welcome, Alice! Shake my hand! Please shake my hand!
I need air! Just when I feared we would fall down. Kyle's strong arm snaked around my waist and drew me closer to him. Kyle! He protected me from the crush of people. Despite being flustered, I instinctively looked up at him. His eyes were not on me, but on the townspeople gathered around us.
I truly understand your enthusiasm over meeting her, but she has lots of issues she's dealing with and hasn't yet fully adapted to being in Wonderland. So I would appreciate it if you could give her a bit more time and space.
Aw,
Dee couldn't hide her disappointment and spoke with a pout.
You're just trying to keep her all to yourself, aren't you?
Dum's next words showed that he was in agreement.
You're going to keep her to yourself, Kyle! We want to talk to Alice too!
Kyle remained perfectly calm in spite of the disappointment mirrored in the faces of the twins and the townspeople. Kyle forged on without showing any signs of being affected.
Like I said, I understand how you feel. I've been waiting to meet her for a long time too. But I also don't want her to overexert herself. Besides...
Kyle narrowed his eyes mysteriously and said in a melodious voice,
I'm the Cheshire Cat. It's my duty to guide her through Wonderland, and I can't relinquish that for any reason. Isn't that right?
The tone of his voice brooked no argument. My heart leapt when he stressed the words, for any reason. Most likely because Kyle was always smiling, rarely revealing his true feelings. Yet it felt like he was uncharacteristically exposing his true self now.
Okay. Aw, if that's the case, we have no choice.
Right, we're not the Cheshire Cat. While we're really disappointed, we'll leave you to act as her guide.
Dum and Dee looked thoroughly dejected, but they calmly backed down. And when the twins gave up without a fight, the other townspeople followed suit. Kyle managed to extract me from the crowd of people who had finally started to disperse, and we quickly left. We kept on walking until we reached a place less populated, then he finally stopped.
Finally. We should be safe from the crowds now. I'm sure it was a surprise, but are you alright?
His expression was gentle as he asked me, and Thank you, Kyle. When I voiced my appreciation, Kyle blinked in confusion. Realizing he had no idea what I meant, I blushed. I acted like nothing had happened, trying to hide that I was flustered. You came to my rescue just now. I was about to be trampled by everyone, so thank you. Kyle? Kyle remained silent for a full 10 seconds before he finally broke out in a smile. His expression was different from any of the other smiles he had directed at me. It was simply full of happiness.
Thank you too, Amelie.
Shouldn't you be saying, "You're welcome"?
No, I think thank you is appropriate.
He shook his head at my question, and his smile widened in satisfaction.
I never imagined you would thank me.
It's nothing to be that happy about, is it? Either he thought I was the kind of person who didn't say thank you, or that's how much significance Alice held for him. By the way, how long do you intend to keep your arm around my waist? I tried bluntly pointing this out to him, but Kyle just smiled. He made no attempt to remove his arm from me. I smiled in return and forcefully removed his arm. If words wouldn't do it, I would have to show him through my actions. You seem to be fairly adept at handling women.
I'll leave that to your imagination.
Kyle shrugged his shoulders and smiled wryly. Then suddenly, his face turned serious.
But I will say this. I'm not interested in anyone else besides you. The only one I want to touch, to have smile at me, is you.
The fact that those words flowed out so smoothly was the biggest reason I didn't trust him. Still, his voice sounded so sincere. I couldn't find it in me to give him a hard time about it. Even when an attractive girl walked by, Kyle's eyes never strayed. He was completely focused on me. There might even be some truth to his claim that he was not interested in anyone else. Am I so special because I'm Alice? I decided to forego beating around the bush and ask him straight out. Kyle just laughed and shrugged his shoulders. He wouldn't answer me either way. Of course, his response didn't satisfy me, so I started to press him further.
Hey, Alice!
I whirled around at the voice calling me. Standing there was a tall young man with eyes and hair the color of sunshine. On his head were furry ears just like Kyle's. The only difference was that Kyle's ears were those of a cat, while the other man's were those of a rabbit. It's true that I'm being called Alice, but I would prefer to be called Amelie. After I made my point clear, he studied me intently. He didn't ask for me to elaborate, but his eyes looked amused.
I'm Sid Rex, the March Hare.
The March Hare. Ah, yes, that explains the rabbit ears.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention my ears. Anyway, are you spending your time with the Cheshire Cat?
I suppose you could say that. Why do you ask? The March Hare Sid smiled meaningfully, as if in amusement.
I wonder what the Hatter will have to say about it.
Huh? My eyes widened at his unexpected words.
Hi, I'm Tweedledee.
I'm Tweedledum!
We're so honored to have been called upon to introduce the next chapter. We're gonna do our best.
Yes, our very best! By the way, Dee, wasn't it wonderful to be able to meet Alice just now?
Yes, very. Alice is so special to us.
It looks like the Cheshire Cat and Alice are sticking together for now. I wonder what sort of story awaits.
I don't want you thinking about another guy.
Kyle's hands were insistent as he forced my chin upward so that he was the only thing reflected in my eyes.
You haven't forgotten who you're with right now, have you?
Let go of me, Kyle.
No.
Well, if they're going to stay together, maybe they'll spend the night at his house.
Wow! How exciting!
I can't wait to find out what happens. Let's hurry up and turn the page.